I'm Seamless, and this is the 35th 75K tutorial. And this one was requested by a number of people, actually. And this particular one I went with was a guy named Rad, because why not? And this is a SKisM and Trampa sound from the song Black Hole. And it sounds like this. And what I got was this. I absolutely didn't nail the specificity, the specific sound, but I got the concept pretty fine. And the concept isn't that hard, but I actually learned some cool stuff whilst doing this about some FM concepts and also unison, which is kind of neat. So this is broken up into two fairly obvious parts. We have this and that. Now, the only real complication comes from what this one is sort of doing. What it is that it's a particular frequency being FM by another particular frequency, and they're not the same frequency. Now, the reason for this is because in the other version, in the version of this one, these harmonics don't really, they have this metallic sound to them, and the metallic sound is usually a product of not being harmonically perfect, not being like rigidly the correct multiplication and division of harmonic space and that kind of thing. And with FM, you can do this pretty simply. Because I started doing this with citrus, I might as well keep doing this with citrus. Could have done this with harmor, just moved the pitch of harmonics. I wouldn't do the end of that. But what's essentially happening is that if you're playing a high enough note and you're FMing it by a similar enough pitch, you don't get that kind of grainy saw wavy nature of like sharpness, and then if you start to alter the pitch of that, let's look at just where's the output? That's right, can't look at the output and the thing at the same time in the same pattern. Here we go. Let's look at this guy. Like watch what happens when I move around the pitches. It does move the harmonic position around. You can get the saw wavy nature out of it, but you can also accomplish this by changing the pitch of the carrier as well. You see there's various positions where they kind of match up, and it's usually when they're the same pitch or when they're not a pitch, and then they come together, that kind of thing. But the point of this is that we're trying to make some kind of like just higher frequency shenanigan and make this work. I could have just, there really wasn't that much harmonic activity in the original. It was mostly through sort of just the noise, distortion, and reverb, and all that, and maybe some delay and that kind of thing to make it sound that metallic. You can kind of see about a leftover of like what's being active. You can also kind of see how like there's a little bit of cut, like it cuts off here, and then this guy comes in, and then it comes in back and over here. This is indicative of unison, which I didn't really apply properly, or it could have been a filter, one or the other. But it looks like phase cancellation to me. Now and then beneath this is just some sound that has that kind of growly characteristic. So I made something that had a growly characteristic. This sound isn't the most amazing sound in the world, but it serves its purpose, because really this guy isn't that noticeable, like full on beneath the higher harmonics. It's mostly just as a bed for the higher harmonics. The balance could have been struck a little bit better with what I had done. I'm doing like no compression and nothing like anything other than just putting these two sounds together in a reverb. I guess I'm doing a little bit of compression because I left the limiter on top. What else? So a little bit of by accident, I kind of did something neat with this sound. So the way that I did this is that I really didn't care enough to like just do super technical, like hardcore ultra FMing by like getting real specific with like the harmonics and that kind of thing. So what I did instead was I found a whole bunch of stuff by a whole bunch of stuff, because this will create that kind of behavior. And then I alter the pitches a little bit so that like if I just play a note, that happens. But then I'm also using unison on here. I have set up a particular pitch, but I set the phase particularly wide because I wanted the phase to be so like not sharp that we get that kind of cloudy nature to it. in retrospect, I probably could have gotten a better sound out of all of this if I was using Harmor, just because everything about the differences between this, what I'm doing right now, and the final result has to do with sort of the phasiness of it. And it's a lot easier to manipulate the phasiness in Harmor than it is in anything else. So, good job, me. But at lower phase levels, let's get rid of the reverb for a second. Something that's kind of neat. Like I wasn't really expecting it to like the unison to actually sound that cool. Not necessarily a purpose for the sound at all. The one I'm trying to go for. There's a noise in there. You can hear for kind of a second. I really wasn't expecting that kind of an outcome from usage of unison. I almost never use unison on like a growly FM sound, but it was just strikingly interesting in this instance. And again, not necessarily helpful for the sound we're trying to go after, but I just wanted to point it out because it was kind of cool. I might do a high bass on that in the future because I can think of some cool ideas about that. Yeah, so really, if you're trying to do that, like I could see how pretty easily actually how you could have done this all like in one sound, had the higher harmonic in there against other stuff. Like if I wasn't using all the operators needlessly like that. And even in other plugins that aren't even FM, like Massive, probably could have done this pretty easily. So just with some filtering and particular tables that sound like the thing they were trying to do, that kind of thing. And then scream filter, and then put that in there, and then boom, you've got that kind of thing. But this is sort of the most compartmentalized idea, where there's two separate ideas. There's the growl idea, and then there's the higher frequency idea. And then all that gets pushed into a reverb. And the reverb itself is just it's not very short, but short enough, but the room size is tiny. So that there's a lot of high frequency, kind of like tin canny-ness going on. And the dampening is all the way off. So that means it's just like all of it is being high frequency. The high cuts all the way up. So that all of that is just much as it can be done with this. I mean, we can go harder and versus, a larger room size, but I didn't want it to sound too much like a public bathroom. Yeah, I'll put up this patcher for download. I'm modulating both X parameters here, if that's unclear, onto the same automation clip. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. If you'd like to make a request for yourself, please do so on the Reddit thread linked in the description of this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my Patreon page. And as usual, have a nice day. Turning off the video.